Hey, folks, this is Book Talk with Corbin. I'm your host. Yesterday I talked around the theme of from tragedy to triumph, and I was trying to focus on people I knew in my life, in my social circle here in Kentucky, who have experienced a significant personal loss, maybe the loss of a sister, maybe the loss of a son, maybe the loss of a daughter, and how they fortunately, they used that personal loss, that tragedy, and turned it into triumph. Again, there's one person I knew, his son was murdered, flat out murdered. It, the detectives, it took them a long time, but they figured out who murdered this man's son. They brought this person to justice, um, but still, that man and his wife had to deal with that tragedy of losing their son in such horrific circumstances. But they used that tragedy and they turned it into a triumph. Today, there's a foundation out there named after their son that is helping many, many, many young people in Kentucky further their education. They turned that tragedy to triumph. So, here with this particular podcast, I'm going to very quickly talk about two individuals who, in their personal lives, they had some significant burdens on them and how they took those burdens and overcame them and in triumph. And they triumphed in such a way that their lives are still an inspiration to people, not just in the United States, not just in North America, but really throughout the world. Folks, I want to urge you to get these two people's um, autobiographies. The one person I'm talking about is Hellen Keller. Hellen Keller, the story of my life. Hellen Keller, due to a disease, she was born blind. Helen Keller was born deaf, and Helen Keller was born mute. It's not accurate to say she was born that way, but the disease eventually inflicted her at a young age in such a way that she was deaf, could not hear, blind, could not see, and mute, could not speak. And yet she earned a college education. She earned a college education and she accomplished many other things as well. Her autobiography is called Helen Keller, Keller, The Story of My Life. Now, it's not just enough to hear about how she took that tragedy and how she overcame it and then accomplished great things, how that in turn and to this day inspires many people. You need to really get this book and read it. Check it out. It's amazing. It's utterly amazing. And as you read that, I want you to start saying to yourself, okay, here are some of the problems, issues, and burdens I have in my life. What's my excuse? The other one I want to mention here is called Jesse, the Man Who Outran Hitler by Jesse Owens. And it was sort of described as a spiritual autobiography. Basically, what he's talking about, he talks about in his book, in that autobiography, his life as a young person with his family and all, sharecroppers in Alabama. And so how he sort of went from that to an Olympic gold winner. And let me tell you something, folks. I read the first chapter and I was astounded. It's one thing, most everybody's heard of Jesse Owens. He was an amazing athlete. Most everybody's heard of Jesse Owens. But folks, you really don't begin to appreciate. You won't you will really come to deeply appreciate what that man accomplished when you read about his background. It is utterly amazing. And in the first chapter, you get it all. And it's done rather beautifully. I mean, I was amazed that it was well written. Beautiful story, beautifully told. And I'm telling you, after that first chapter, I just said, well, I got to add Jesse Owens to my major hero list. I mean, it's again what he overcame. He was like Hellen Keller, what he overcame, the obstacles he overcame, and then you look at where he's at. What he did. Man, you got to read that book. So get Helen Keller, The Story of My Life by Helen Keller. Get Jesse, The Man Who Outran Hitler by Jesse Owens. And you can probably get copies at Thrift Books or Better World Books, or you go to your local bookstore and they can order you a copy. And I strongly suggest you do that. Hey, summer's coming up. Get copies and say to a young person, hey, if you read this book and after every 2-3 chapters you come in, we'll sit down and talk about it. Reward them. Say, I'll give you reward. I'll give you a financial reward. Maybe you can start them a custodial stock account, or maybe you can give them a gift card to their favorite restaurant. I mean, this is something you should definitely do. It's one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to approach some young people and say, look, you read this book, come in every few chapters, we'll sit down and talk about it, and at the end of it, I'll give you some type of financial reward or gift card or something, because those two books are just that important. They're just that important. We need more people reading them. Folks, this is Book Talk with Corbin. I'm your host. My website is booktalkwithcorbin.com. Please go there. Also, please go to youtube.com, put in the search engine Book Talk with Corbin, become a subscriber, hit the like button, and share this with other folks. Thanks.